we have
you
Janet.
My daughter, that I might have a special thing to say.
I wear my scars like badges. These deep marks show through from under my skin like war paint on an Apache chief, decorated with feathers, the skins of their prey. I have a scar over my left knee. I got it from a bout with poison ivy that I had after climbing a mountainside. The 4-inch long slice curves along my leg, almost perfectly defining the muscle in my thigh. I have a scar over my right knee after walking through the gravel roads from one celebration place to another at the rain delay for the last winning game for the Cubs of the World Series. I would look down at my knee and see a scar that looked like an angry man staring at me defiantly. But this is my hometown, and they only won the World Series after I left. Well, I don't care because they still won after a 100-year drought, so that defiant stare is something that I will always be proud to see. I have a scar over my right shin. I slipped on a patch of rocks and cut up the lower half of my leg and filled it with gravel and dirt. Joe poured hydrogen peroxide on my leg and wrapped my wound with paper towels because the cuts were so widespread. An hour later, and I was on my way home so I could tend to my wounds in greater detail, tend to my wounds in depth. Now, all that is left is a 2-inch line down the center of my leg. Although it was a very deep cut, it looks like it went straight to the bone. I have a circular scar on my left calf from getting off of a motorcycle and sliding my leg over the scalding hot exhaust pipe. It has been 17 years now since I gained that scar. Now with each scar it fades away just a little. I can still see it, but the memories are slowly slipping away. My cat scratched me on my wrist once when we had to give her medication. Cats don't like taking pills or having ointment dabbed on or liquid poured onto their wounds. When giving her pills, we'd have to grab her paws, then pull her head back by the nape of her neck, pry her jaws wide open, and let the pill fall back, and she'd be forced to swallow it. But sometimes she'd move too much and a paw would slip out of her grasp. And now, over the bone on my right wrist, a long, thin scar stares at me defiantly. I tell people that if they wake up with bruises and cuts that they don't remember, then they must have had fun the night before. But each marking, each scar is a story, is a memory. It's a way to remember how you lived. And it is with these scars that I gauge my living. It is with these scars that I feel decorated. Scars Publications, which has nothing to do with that poem, is a publications group that I run 2 literary magazines, and if anybody's interested in sending poetry to me, I've got email addresses. You can go to scars.tv and learn about the magazines. I believe Mike has something coming up in a future issue, and the Orlando poem. And Tom has a few pieces that are coming up in summer issues of CCND magazine, so if anybody wants to learn about it, scars.tv, and I'll stop talking about that and do my one religious poem that talks about women's issues. This is a Gift of Motherhood, number 2. This starts with a quote from Pope John Paul II. And the quote is, "We need only think of how the gift of motherhood is often penalized rather than rewarded, even though humanity owes its very existence to this gift. Certainly, much remains to be done to prevent discrimination against those who have chosen to be wives and mothers. So I was sitting in on a meeting with the other managers, and we were talking about presenting our project at the upcoming trade show, when our boss said, "Oh, none of us will have to go. I'll just hire some dumb..." And then he looked at me, and with my long blonde hair, some model to demonstrate it instead. And this is the same guy who has a photo in his office of a woman in a negligee grabbing her crotch. I mean, it's not even a tasteful photo. I wonder what he'd think if he came into my office and there was a Playgirl magazine sitting on my desk. One of my supervisors even kept asking me to go out and get lunches for everyone else or fax stuff for him. And I finally had to tell him no. Well, I said, "Why don't you just ask John? He's been here less than me. You could ask him to do it." But he never did. And I look around and I think, I'm the only woman here. Why is that? So, thank you. Some more thanking pieces, I know. This is a new piece that I just recently wrote for a feature at Expressions in the beginning of March here. And it's about the concept of spring, and I'm going to share with you this piece called Original Snowbirds. I'd like to tell you the story about a bird. It's fair to say that this was the original snowbird. In Hawaii, the kolea is the Pacific golden plover. These foraging birds hang out in Hawaii until it is spring, and they fan themselves up for their over 2,000-mile non-stop flight to Alaska. They have no waterproofing on their feathers, so they don't rest, but fly for 3 days straight. And fossils found in Oahu even reveal that the plovers have done this for 120,000 years. Because in the spring, they fly up north, and these birds spend 3 months in Alaska. They reclaim last year's breeding grounds and incubate eggs, hatching in 25 days. Mama and Daddy bird leave the nest just after the last chick hatches, and predators like foxes, jaegers, and caribou force the chicks to leave the nest. In barely a month, when the chicks can then fly, come August, this is when the parents then leave. Now, these adult plovers eat like mad. They gain 50% of their body fat so that they can have the fuel for their 3-day flight over 2,000 miles to their Hawaiian home. Yeah, you heard me right. Every spring, these Pacific golden plovers, after bulking up, make a 3-day non-stop flight up north and lose 50% of their body mass doing it. And right after their babies are ready to fly, and they've bulked up enough once more, they leave their babies to fend for themselves. I mean, because these little ones can't make the flight. They don't have the bulk to make this trip, and they never even learn how to navigate. With Alaska summers, they'll never see stars or a night sky at all until they fly south. Maybe baby plovers use Earth's magnetic field because it's a miracle when they do actually fly to Hawaii. But I've been told that when they return, they arrive in Hawaii at the exact same spot year after year for up to 20 years, and annually are welcomed by the natives. We think we understand the seasons, but in Hawaii, they mark the seasons by the coming and going of the kolea, the Hawaiian word that mimics the sounds of the Pacific golden plovers, the parents and their babies, because they truly mark the passage of time. Might as well keep the music on while I say this. I don't know if people who don't have jobs like me or have night jobs, March 21st, Tuesday, happens to be World Poetry Day. And when I heard this, I asked and begged and prodded and acted quite professional. And the nice people at Half Price Brooks at Lamar, 5555 North Lamar, they said we could have a space for reading. So on 321 from 123, we are going to have people that could come in for mini features, and I would love it if anybody can actually make it there and come and read poetry on World Poetry Day. So if anybody can, there's a Facebook page that's started for it, for an event, and I'd love to see anybody there who can make it. Thank you.
And yes, she is featuring on April 23rd.